Wise Boy. In the quaint village of Alderwood, nestled between rolling emerald hills and the whispering brooks of southern England, there lived a boy named Arthur. Though barely 13, Arthur was known far and wide for his uncanny wisdom, a trait both admired and feared by the villagers. Arthur's wisdom wasn't the product of books or grand tutors. He had spent his days observing the natural world and the peculiarities of human behavior. His piercing blue eyes seemed to see beyond the surface, peeling back the layers of pretense and revealing truths that others preferred to keep hidden. The villagers often sought Arthur's advice on matters both trivial and grave. They approached him with questions about their crops, disputes with neighbors, and even the mysteries of the heart. Arthur's answers were seldom direct. They were cloaked in riddles or delivered as parables, yet they always led to the desired resolution, if one was clever enough to discern their meaning. One brisk autumn morning, a desperate farmer named Edmund arrived at Arthur's modest cottage. Edmund was a burly man, his hands calloused from years of toil. His face was etched with lines of worry. "Arthur," he began, his voice trembling, "my sheep have gone missing, all 30 of them. I fear they've been stolen, for their tracks lead nowhere. Without them, my family will starve this winter." Arthur tilted his head, his eyes narrowing as he considered the problem. "Tell me, Edmund," he said, his voice calm yet commanding, "when was the last time you truly listened to the wind?" The farmer blinked, perplexed. "The wind? What does that have to do with my sheep?" Arthur smiled faintly. "The wind carries whispers, Edmund. Return to your field at dusk, when the world is quiet. Listen carefully, and you shall find what you seek." Though skeptical, Edmund obeyed. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he stood in his field, straining his ears. At first, there was only the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. But then, faintly, he heard a sound, a soft bleating. Following the noise, he discovered his sheep trapped in a hidden ravine, their cries muffled by the dense undergrowth. Grateful and astounded, Edmund spread the tale of Arthur's wisdom throughout the village. Arthur's reputation grew, and soon it reached the ears of a wealthy merchant named Oswald. Unlike the villagers who revered Arthur, Oswald viewed him with disdain. He dismissed the boy as a mere trickster, exploiting the gullibility of simple folk. Determined to expose Arthur as a fraud, Oswald devised a test. He visited Arthur, presenting him with a locked chest. Inside this chest, Oswald declared, lies an object of great value. If you are truly wise, tell me what it is. Arthur examined the chest, noting its ornate carvings and sturdy build. He placed a hand on it, closed his eyes, and remained silent for several moments. Finally, he spoke. "The chest contains a mirror." Oswald's smug expression faltered. "And what, pray tell, does that signify?" "A mirror reflects truth," Arthur replied. "It reveals the beholder's essence. Your challenge was not to test me, but to confront your own doubts." Oswald's face turned crimson as he unlocked the chest. Sure enough, inside lay an exquisite silver mirror. Word of Arthur's triumph spread, and Oswald, humbled, became one of the boy's staunchest allies. As the years passed, Arthur's fame extended beyond Alderwood. Nobles and scholars sought his counsel, journeying from distant lands to hear his enigmatic words. Yet Arthur remained in the village, content with his simple life. One day, a stranger arrived, a cloaked figure on horseback, their face obscured by a hood. They dismounted and approached Arthur, who was tending to his garden. "Are you the wise boy?" the stranger asked, their voice low and gravely. Arthur looked up, studying the figure. "I am Arthur," he replied. "And who might you be?" The stranger hesitated before pulling back their hood, revealing a young woman with piercing green eyes and a cascade of auburn hair. "My name is Eleanor," she said. "I am the daughter of King Aldred. My father is gravely ill, and none of the court physicians can cure him. They say you possess knowledge beyond your years. Will you help us?" Arthur nodded solemnly. "I will do what I can." Eleanor led Arthur to the royal palace, where King Aldred lay pale and motionless in his grand bedchamber. The air was heavy with the scent of herbs and despair. Arthur approached the king, placing a hand on his forehead. After a moment, he turned to Eleanor. "The king's ailment is not of the body, but of the mind," he said. "He is burdened by a secret, a guilt that festers within him. To heal, he must confront it." Eleanor's eyes widened. But what could he possibly be hiding? Arthur glanced at the king, whose eyelids fluttered. "Ask him," he said simply. When the king awoke, Eleanor relayed Arthur's words. Tears welled in Aldred's eyes as he confessed to a grave mistake from his youth, one that had haunted him for decades. He had wronged a loyal friend, leading to their unjust imprisonment. With Eleanor's support, the king sought to make amends. He pardoned the friend, restored their honor, and ensured their family was cared for. As the burden lifted from his heart, Aldred's health began to improve. Before departing, Eleanor turned to Arthur. "You have saved my father and our kingdom. How can we ever repay you?" Arthur smiled gently. "Wisdom is its own reward. Use it wisely, and you shall repay me 100-fold." As Arthur journeyed back to Alderwood, he reflected on his encounters. His wisdom, he realized, was not an innate gift, but a result of empathy, curiosity, and a deep understanding of the human spirit. Though he was called wise, he knew he still had much to learn, a truth that made him all the wiser.